my mind and my body. But there's one thing a Saiyan always keeps.
Hey, what is going on, guys? DBZ Sim here, coming at you with a new video. Today we're going to be talking about all these Saiyan transformations and the numbers of them, and the differences between them, and how Saiyans fall against the other races in terms of rankings. Just like we did for the last video, race rankings, but Saiyans get their own video because there's so many transformations. So let's get right into it, starting with their base stats before transformation. For male Saiyan, health is 101.7%, which is basically just the base level. Square basic attacks and triangle basic attacks, of course you guys already know they're gonna have the highest numbers for that. Square basic attacks with 158.4%, which means that's their multiplier for their base square attacks. 132.9% for triangle attacks. Strike attacks, they are at the base level of 101.7%. And Ki Blast attacks, 110.8%. In Xenoverse 2, I believe every race has a significant damage output with Ki Blast attacks, which is nice. Their racial attributes, they have many. I listed a couple of them here. 15% damage boost at low HP and 10% damage reduction. Males have longer pose duration, I guess that could be useful. Revival gives 15% damage boost and 10% damage reduction. So if you're doing team battles or something like that, or even in a parallel quest, you know, maybe it'll be helpful to intentionally go down to get an extra damage boost when you get back up. Now, after transformation, after Super Saiyan 1 transformation, that is, their health will always remain the same throughout any transformation. I messed up, so I covered it up with the right number. 101.7% is going to stay at. The square basic attack gets increased to 174.24%. Triangle basic attacks, 146.19%. Strike attacks, 111.87%. Ki Blast attacks, 116.34%. And the defenses they gain from Super Saiyan 1 is an extra 5.26% in physical defense. So you'll be protecting 5.26% extra against basic attacks and strike attacks. Racial attributes from going Super Saiyan 1: warping with charged super attacks. So warping with Kamehamehas that can be charged, Gallic guns, stuff like that. You can teleport right in front of your opponent's face if you hold that down all the way. And slightly reduced Ki regen, not too much with Super Saiyan 1, but as we move on here to Super Saiyan 2, looks like the square basic attacks go up to 182.16% compared to 174.24% with Super Saiyan 1. And 152.83% for triangle basic attacks compared to 146.19 of Super Saiyan 1. We got 116.95 with strike attacks, 119.91 or 119.11 with Ki Blast attacks. And defense as a game from this is 11.11% physical defense, physical attacks, basic attacks, and strike attacks, and 5.26% Ki Blast defense buff. So Super Saiyan 2 and above, they will gain defense against Ki Blast attacks as well, which you don't get at Super Saiyan 1. Racial attributes still got the warping and highly reduced Ki regen, so it significantly makes a difference in the Ki regen. And moving on to Super Saiyan 3, which is the strongest transformation physically for physical attacks, melee and strike. So that's going to be 190.08% in square basic attacks, almost double the base square basic attack damage. 159.48% with the triangle basic attacks, 122.04 with strikes, and 121.88% with Ki Blast attacks. Defenses are increased to 17.65% extra defense against physical attacks, and 11.11% extra defense against Ki Blast attacks. Racial attributes with Super Saiyan 3, of course, still got that warping with charged super attacks, and extremely reduced ki regen. Like, it is going to take a long time to regenerate ki in Super Saiyan 3 bars. Moving on to Super Vegeta, which is like Super Saiyan, except it is more centered around ki blast attacks. As you can see here, square and triangle basic attacks don't make as much of a significant increase with Super Vegeta. So square basic attacks from Super Vegeta 1 is 166.32%. Triangle basic attacks going to 139.54%. Strike attacks only getting increased to 106.78%. But here we go. Ki blast attacks with Super Vegeta 1 is 121.88%. And if we compare that to the ki blast attacks from Super Saiyan 3, it was also 121.88%. So just from Super Vegeta 1, you have the same ki blast attack damage, and you know, with less reduced ki regeneration, which is nice. And also the defense, you start getting defense for ki blast attacks first, so 5.26 extra percentage of ki blast defense. Racial attributes gonna be the same as the other Super Saiyans. Warping and reduced ki gen. Super Vegeta 2 increases the square basic attacks to 170.28%. Triangle 142.87%. Strike attacks 109.32%. And ki blast attacks 130.19%. Now that's pretty high, but keep in mind this is only the male Saiyans. We'll see a more significant difference with the female Saiyans once we get to them. Alright, and the defense is physical defense comes into play with Super Vegeta 2, 5.26% physical defense, and 14.29% ki blast defense, which is more than any ki blast defense that regular Super Saiyan would give. Super Saiyan 3 only giving 11.11% ki blast defense. And yep, you have some greatly reduced ki regeneration with Super Vegeta 2. Not exactly sure how that compares to the reduced ki regeneration against Super Saiyan 3, but I'd figure it's a little bit less regeneration, or less reduced than it would be Super Saiyan 3 because it's Super Vegeta 2. And last but not least, we have Future Super Saiyan. Now, Future Super Saiyan gives all the same what is the word I'm looking for? All the same buffs as Super Saiyan 1 does. So 174.24, 146.19, 111.87, 116.34, all the same as Super Saiyan 1. They don't receive any defense boosts, unfortunately. But the key difference with Future Super Saiyan is that you get increased stamina regen and no decreased ki regeneration, and you still get the warping with charged super attacks. So if you're planning on using a lot of stamina and you want that stamina regen buff, you go for Future Super Saiyan. Still get all the benefits, or still get all the buffs of Super Saiyan. The only downside is that you get no defense boosts. So it's really not a bad pick, and it's also a lot faster, the transformation, than the other transformations where there's a bit longer of an animation so you can get your stamina broken. But for Future Super Saiyan, you tend not to get your stamina broken because the window of opportunity to get your stamina broken is very small with Future Super Saiyan. It's like 2 seconds. Alright, and as far as the rankings go for male Saiyans, I separated them into 2 parts for their transformation with Super Saiyan 3 and Super Vegeta 2 transformation, since that would be more fair. So before any transformations at all, compared to every other race before transformations, they are 6th in health, 1st in square basic attacks, 1st in triangle basic attacks. They are the strongest basic attackers, of course. 6th in strike, and tied for 5th in ki blast attacks, which is also last. I should have just put tied for last there. And Super Saiyan 3 transformation, so this is also compared to every other race with their best transformation. They're still 6th in health, of course. 1st in square basic attacks, 1st in triangle basic attacks, 2nd in strike attacks, and 5th in ki blast attacks. And compared to Super Vegeta 2, they would be still 6th in health, 2nd in square basic attacks, and 3rd in triangle basic attacks, only because, of course, 1st is going to be Super Saiyan 3, and then strike attacks going to be 5th, and ki blast attacks are actually going to be 4th, so not making too much of a significant difference in the rankings there in ki blast attacks, even with Super Vegeta 2. And we can move on to female Saiyans now. Alright, female Saiyans. Base stats for them: before transformation, health 100%, square basic attacks 132.3%, triangle basic attacks 124.2%. So also the female Saiyans got some pretty strong basic attacks. Very strong, actually. Strike attacks 107.1%, not bad. Ki blast attacks 124.7%, also very, very strong. And the racial attributes are the same as the Saiyans, except for the fact that they don't have the longer pose duration. Instead, they have better ki gain. And after transformation, after Super Saiyan 1, that is, health stays the same. Square basic attacks rise to 145.53, triangle basic attacks to 136.62%, strike attacks 111.87, and ki blast attacks 130.94. And of course, with Super Saiyan 1, you gain that 5.26% extra defense buff against physical attacks, meaning basic attacks and strike attacks. And attributes of Super Saiyan 1: warping with charge attacks and reduced ki regeneration. You guys gotta keep in mind, Super Saiyan is more melee focused and Super Vegeta is ki blast focused, so I would definitely recommend Super Saiyan for male Saiyans and Super Vegeta for female Saiyans, just because you want to build around what their attributes and what their strengths are and their weaknesses are, basically. So, moving on to Super Saiyan 2, that'll make their square basic attacks increase to 152.16%, and the triangle basic attacks increase to 142.83%. Looking at this right now, I don't even think their stats in Super Saiyan 2 are up to par with base stats of a male Saiyan before transformation. So you can see right there, me prove my point. Strike attacks score to 116.95%, ki blast attacks 134.05%. And with Super Saiyan 2, you get an 11.11% defense buff against physical attacks, and then you get a 5.26% defense buff against ki blast attacks. You get a little bit less, or a little bit more reduction in ki regeneration. Super Saiyan 3 for the female Saiyans. Square basic attacks is going to increase to 158.76%. Triangle basic attacks 149.04%. Strike attacks 122.04%. And ki blast 137.17%. Defenses are going to be an increase to 17.65% defense buff against physical attacks and 11.11% against ki blast attacks. And they have a strongly reduced ki regeneration. So the top melee transformation is going to give you those stats there. But what I would recommend is the Super Vegeta transformation. Starting with Super Vegeta 1, very small increases to their basic attacks. As you can see, square basic attack goes to 138.92% from 132, and triangle basic attack goes up to 130.41%. Strike attacks almost not changed at all. 108.78%. You really won't be noticing too much of a difference, but ki blast attacks get a big increase to 137.17%. And the defense from Super Vegeta 1 starts with a ki blast defense buff of 5.25%. Is that right? 5.26%. And racial attributes, of course, slightly reduced ki regeneration and warping with charged super attacks. Super Vegeta 2, the recommended transformation for female Saiyans, is going to increase their square basic attacks to 142.25, triangle basic attacks to 133.52, strike attacks to 109.33, and ki blast attacks to 146.23%. Which, even though it is very, very high, it still falls just a little short of Golden Form Frieza's ki blast attacks, which is, I believe, 150%. So there is a slight difference there, nothing too noticeable. So if you prefer the stats on a female Saiyan, prefer the stats and combos, that is, of a female Saiyan to a Frieza race, you go for this one for ki blast attacks. Won't see too much of a difference, but there is a strength towards the Golden Form. Defense is going to be 5.25% with physical, and 14.29% against ki blast attacks. Future Super Saiyan on the female Saiyans. Of course, all the buffs in Future Super Saiyan is the same exact as Super Saiyan 1, 145.33. This can't be right. Yeah, 145.33. Triangle basic attack 136.62. Strike attacks 111.87, and ki blast 130.94. Of course, in Future Super Saiyan, you do not get any defense buffs, unfortunately, but that is made up for with their increased stamina regeneration. And yeah, no reduction in ki blast or ki regeneration, which is also good, and an increase in stamina regeneration, which I think is a good replacement for the defense bonus. And now for the rankings of the female Saiyans. Before any transformations, they are tied for last in health. Square basic attacks are going to be second, and triangle basic attacks are going to be second. Only second to male Saiyans, of course, so yep, they are very strong basic attacks. Strike attacks third, and ki blast attacks first. So aside from health, female Saiyans actually have some very, very nice stats. For a hybrid character, I couldn't recommend anyone else. Even the Frieza characters, since they don't have the strongest basic attacks, I would probably recommend female Saiyans over Frieza for a hybrid character. You know, ki blast and basic attack hybrid. After transformation, they did the same thing with male Saiyans, so I'm going to be comparing it with Super Saiyan 3 and Super Vegeta 2. So after transformation, which is also compared to every other race after their best transformation, health is still tied for last, aka 6th. Square basic attack is going to be 3rd, and triangle basic attack is going to be 3rd. I think that second would be Super Saiyan 2nd, and first would be male Saiyans in their transformations. Strike attacks is going to be 4th, and ki blast attacks is going to be 2nd. First is Frieza race in their golden form. And compared to Super Vegeta 2, there's actually not many changes, which is weird. Everything remains the same. Health 6th, square basic attacks 3rd, triangle basic attacks 3rd, except strikes go down to 5th place, and ki blast attacks still 2nd. But of course there are differences in the numbers, which I showed before, so Super Vegeta 2 was recommended over Super Saiyan 3. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hit the like button if you did. Smash that shit, set it on fire. This video took me a long time to make, so show some appreciation, leave some feedback in the comments, whatever you gotta do. And peace out, enjoy the outro. Subscribe. Yeah!